In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
All right, this is Bryce D. Nyer coming at you from another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix, a lawyer's exodus. From where? The Legal Matrix. Coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg, home of the Special Forces, 82nd Airborne Division, 18th Airborne Corps, and all those Special Forces operator. I know they changed the name to Fort Liberty, but I'm not going to ever call it Fort Liberty if I don't have to, and I don't have to. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about this poverty mindset, this being poor mindset versus a rich mindset. Now, the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear about this is money, especially for you lawyers. You know, you're talking about retainer fees, getting paid. That's your first thought. I mean, everybody understands the word retainer fee because they've heard it their whole lives from the legal profession, TV shows, movies, retainers. And that's the first thing a client will come in and ask you about, you know, what is your retainer? How much do you charge? And that's a good question because you have to be prepared to answer it. And if you answer that question in a poverty mindset, you're going to be poor. So in Legal Warrior, which is what you should be and what you should be moving toward, there are four major domains, body, being, balance, and business. And you need to get out of the poverty mindset in all these four domains. See, I was there. I didn't know any better. When I got out of law school, you know, you work for somebody, and if you're on salary, they set your salary. You make all this money, they take it, and they give you the breadcrumbs that are left over. Until one day, you wake up and you're like, oh, shit, I can't pay my bills. I can't pay my law school loans. I can't go on a date tonight with my girlfriend or my boyfriend or pet unicorn or whatever the hell it is you're dating these days in today's world. And you begin to be like, oh my God, I just don't know what to do. You get into this pity party sob story. Yeah, that's what you get into. And you just perpetuate into this downfall in a pit. And that happened to me because I allowed the legal matrix to confine me to charge what other lawyers were charging, that what was the reasonable fee, the reasonable rate of a lawyer in the legal community in which I worked. And that was the standard. That's what everybody looked at. But the problem was, see, they allowed that. They gave permission for the legal matrix, the legal profession, which is the legal matrix, okay? It is. Come on, it is. And they allowed the matrix to determine their value and keep them in this poor mindset. Lawyers have been associating themselves with this poverty mindset and body, being, balance, and business for as long as I have been an attorney, which has been for over 3 decades. And it is a shitty place to be. Because you're defining yourself by somebody else's standards, somebody else's value. And you should not be doing that. And I did not awaken to that possibility or that path until around, 2018. And I started raising my rates and my value. I stopped listening to everybody else's definition of what I should be. Coming forward now, years later, I'm even more determined and more focused, and I have more clarity on setting my value and not being of this poverty mindset in these four main domains of body, being, balance, and business. Just like in fitness, I looked around at poverty in body. Okay, poverty in body. What does that mean? Okay, well, poverty in body, I started looking at my colleagues, and they're fat. They're obese. They look like shit. They look like death warmed over, man. They look like roadkill. They're not taking care of themselves. They're boozing it up. They're doing drugs. They're binge watching Netflix and Amazon Prime movies and whatever the hell else they do, or surfing the net. They're not getting up. They're not moving. They're eating shit food. And they look like it. And their waist reflects it. And they look horrible. And I was like, how can you be rich in body? Well, I hired personal trainers. Yeah, I hired personal trainers. I realized in body, there's poverty in body when you don't know what you're doing. You're consuming toxic foods. You're consuming toxic patterns of behavior. And I will tell you, once I started back on my fitness program, and I looked at the balance sheet and body poverty, I was like, ooh. And it hurt bad when I restarted my workout program. It did. It's just the pain in my muscles that had not been worked. So I'm looking at the balance sheet of body poverty. I'm like, ooh, man, I'm poor. I'm broke. I'm bankrupt in body. And so it has taken me a considerable amount of time to get back into the mindset of being rich in body. So again, don't always equate rich with your financial wealth, because if your body is deteriorating, if it's deteriorating and you get diabetes or heart disease or something else, that kills you a lot sooner than maybe your expected lifetime. And again, we don't know when our last day is, but let's just assume for conversation's sake, you have another 40 years of life left as defined by the insurance tables. But you shorten it because you bankrupt yourself in body. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And how do you get yourself out of body bankruptcy? Okay, being body poor, body poverty. You have to take the bold actions just like I did. You have to get up in the morning, maybe 3, maybe 4. You have to go to the gym. You have to have a regimented program of workouts, working different muscle sets, and listening to the professionals that know what the hell they're talking about. And then not eating shit foods, and not drinking a bunch of booze, and not doing illegal drugs, or popping pills or some other bullshit or energy drinks or whatever the hell it is that just pollutes your body. So remember, whatever you put in your body, that's what you're going to get. Whatever you put in your mind, that's what you're going to get. Whatever you consume for foods and drink, that's what you're going to get. So I began this journey of listening to videos and audios and all the 4 domains of rich people in body, being, balance, and business. You can't hang out with poor people to be rich in these 4 domains. You cannot do it. Just like being in balance. What is balance? Balance is a relationships with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, children, friends, colleagues, whatever it is. Balance is what however you define it. It may be going to the beach. It may be reading a book. It may be going to a movie. It may be having total freedom to do whatever the hell you want to do. But if you're bankrupt in balance, you are the walking dead. You're dead. You just haven't fallen over yet. Balance, being in poverty and balance, is a horrible thing. Because remember, these 4 domains of body, being, balance, and business all affect one another. They're dominoes. They're tied together at the hip. And when you're bankrupt in balance, you just don't have a life. You're miserable. I was that way. Oh my God. It was just like, I hated everything. I hated everybody. I mean, I hated, being married. I hated my profession. I just hated everything. I had no balance. I'm like, what the hell is that? And I saw people that had different mindsets, people that were rich in balance, that were going to tropical islands, that were taking time off, that were freeing themselves up, because You can't make up lost time. You can't do it. Once time is gone, it is gone. Yesterday is gone, today is here, and tomorrow hasn't even arrived. And your balance is every second and every waking moment of how you relate to, again, your family, your friends, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your colleagues, it's everybody and everything, but mainly it's how you relate to yourself. And God, I was in such a deficit of balance. I used to have balance long ago. I kind of, like when I was growing up in Florida, man, every Sunday I had off because where I worked, they were closed on Sundays. I would go to the beach, and man, it was great balance. I'd get up early, like 6 a.m., and I'd head to the beach so I could get a spot and get parking and just chill out on the beach. Just chill out and go swimming and do whatever I wanted to do. Now, yeah, I was a lot younger. I didn't have as much responsibility as I do today, but it's all relative. It's all relative. And when I was in college, sure, there were the academic studies, but, that's not necessarily the real world. And I took time to go to the coast, to the beach, to do things with my friends. And so there comes a point in time when you're in the legal matrix. Man, it will take your balance. It will consume it. Why? It's a jealous mistress. That's what the legal matrix is. It doesn't want you to have balance. It wants you to pay attention to it. Who's it? Again, the legal matrix. It doesn't want you to have time off. No. It doesn't want you to be happy. It's not concerned about how you feel or what you want. Doesn't care. The legal matrix has no sole purpose except to destroy your soul, which we're going to talk about now. And being bankrupt in being. Now, I get it. There are people who come from different religious backgrounds, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhists, Hindus, whatever, okay? So for me, I'm of the Christian faith. I believe that God exists. I believe Jesus is who he says he was and who he is. That I have faith. That's what I believe. Now, have I always lived in accordance with what God and Jesus said? No. Have I been stupid? Yes. Have I sinned? Yes. Massively. Many times. Stupid. And I'll tell you, sin will eat you alive. It will. You can make fun of it all day long, but why do you think the world's in a shit chaos mess? Because we want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. We do. We want to go outside the boundaries of what God says to do. And then when we do, we wonder why our life's in a shitstorm. Well, my life's been in a shitstorm many times. You want to know why? Because I caused it, because I was bankrupt in being. I paid lip service, I'd read passages and scriptures and occasionally, I joined different churches. Like I converted to the Methodist Church, the Episcopal Church, the Catholic Church. I mean, hell, it was a whole smorgasbord of, the faith. I was like, hey, which one can I add to my confirmation resume? And then one day you wake up and you're like, I feel morally bankrupt. I'm a hypocrite. I'm talking all this shit. I'm talking all this stuff, but I'm not living it. I'm morally and spiritually bankrupt. I'm living in being poverty. Now, there can only be so many things that are true, okay? Either God exists or he doesn't. Either Jesus is who he said he is or he isn't. Either there's heaven and hell or there isn't. I mean, there's no in between. We're all going to know, because here's the one thing that's certain. We're all going to die. So, again, I can't tell you what to believe. I can't tell you which religious faith to join. That's a personal decision that you have to make. But what I can tell you is my journey. And my journey was one of, I've broken all the 10 commandments in my life. And let me tell you, when you do that, it's not a club you want to belong to. Ever. 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 And as a lawyer, you're going to face temptations. You are. And there are going to be times in your life when tragedy strikes, when your world just falls to shit, and there is not one person around you that can fix it. There are no words from other human beings that can fix it. Your friends will give you all this advice and blah, 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 and you'll read all these self-help books, blah, 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 and watch Oprah and all these other clowns on TV. Maybe you watch that stupid-ass show called The View. I hate that show. I do, okay? I just do. I'm going to say it because I hate it. But you got to know the opposition's views. So once a blue moon, I listened to some clips. But anyway, getting back to where we were. Yeah, being bankrupt in being. There was a time in my life just a few years ago when I had to take somebody off life support that I loved. It was the most horrible thing I ever had to do. I can't tell you how I cried and sobbed, and my whole impossible game just went out the window. And it did. And there was nobody around me but me in those moments of having to make that decision that I was given that legal power to. And I didn't want to do it. But the person who gave me that power trusted me and expected me to fulfill my obligation if certain events happened, and they did. And I'm going to tell you right now, all you law students and all you lawyers who think you can live life on your own, you cannot. There will come a day, and there will, when you will sink to your knees and you will sob and you will cry till snot runs out your nose, down your face and on the floor, to where you lose your breath, to where you're going to vomit, till you have no more tears, till you can't even breathe because you're bankrupt in being. And on that day, you're going to start to fill up the balance sheet. You're going to realize that your bankruptcy in being was because you chased all the shiny things. Yeah, all the shiny things. The cars, the boats, the sex, all this other bullshit you think is going with you when you die. Well, hey, the pharaohs tried that. Oh, shit, didn't work out too well for them. All that stuff shoved in the pyramids, and everybody ransacked it and stole it, and most of it's now in museums. You're not taking anything with you. You came in this world naked, and when you leave, they'll dress you up, but it doesn't matter. Your body's going to decay, and you become a skeleton, so all those clothes in your coffin on your body aren't going to matter anyway. That's a waste of money. So, again, I urge you to really think about where you are in being. Really. Because when you die on your deathbed, are you really going to think about the inbox? Are you going to think about like TikTok, Snapchat, social media? No. Highly, highly, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. So you got to get your being in order. You got to bump up the balance sheet in your connection. You do. And again, I can't tell you who to believe in, who to have faith in. I just know where I stand, and that's the stand I have. And I know God has pounded me on the head and said, look, man, your life's in a shitstorm because you're not listening to what I told the human race to do. And when you break the rules, when you go off the path and you go into being poverty, this is what happens. And that's what happened to me until I had to be like, okay, I got to turn my life around. See, everybody makes this, they make fun of repentance or redemption or salvation. But I'm here to tell you, when that day comes, when your life is in that shitstorm and you fall to your knees, you're going to get it if you're blessed and lucky enough. And all luck is just another word for being blessed, okay? That's really all it is. And you have to take the bold actions to have that relationship. Because all of these domains, again, they affect one another. But in the end, every human dies, and only one of those domains are going to matter at that point. Which leads me into business. Business, poverty and business. You can be worth $100 million and still be poor in business. Why? Well, it could be a number of ways. Your other three domains are all screwed up. Your head's screwed up. You're screwed up, and everything. The way you think, the way you act. Or maybe you make $100 million, but you only keep $1 million, and the rest of it's going to, well, who the hell knows where? Maybe it's a Ponzi scheme. that you're operating or the way you're operating. I don't mean you're doing something illegal. I'm just saying your mindset is like that. You're operating on a foundation of quicksand in business. See, I did that. I kept, as a lawyer, fee for service, and you're like, if you're a solo practitioner, I mean, you can only physically be in so many places at one time. You can only see so many people. And unless you have some sort of funnel coming in, which brings in constant cash, which I'd never even heard of the term like click funnels or funnels until a few years ago with my participation in Wake Up Warrior. So I didn't even know what the hell that was. And recently I've realized, that, damn, I should have been way more than I was business-wise. And now my whole mindset is not to be business bankrupt. And it's not just about the money in the accounts. It's not just about your ledger sheets. It's your whole mindset of operating. Are you passionate about what you do? And for a long time, I was burned out on the legal profession, just totally fried on it. And then it spills over to like fatigue, depression, anger, a whole host of smorgasbord of things that will just sabotage and train wreck your ability to rise in business. The other thing that I have noticed and discovered in the legal profession is most lawyers don't want to take the actions to do what they need to do to really rise in business. They sedate. They think, my website's good enough, and the phone's not ringing because it's a website problem. No, you're the problem. This marketing isn't working. No, you're not working. You're not working. See, that's what was happening with me. I'm like, shit, why aren't the phones ringing? What the hell's going on? Why aren't people hiring me? Blah, 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 blah. And it was because I was bankrupt and I was in scarcity and I was in poverty in the mindset of going and hunting down clients and leads and doing what it took to close the deal. Because in the legal profession, in business, you have to have a different mindset. If you hang out with lawyers that all they give a shit about is going to parties, drinking beers, and I make this and I feel good, or I make this amount of money, and that's good. That's good enough. I'm like, no, it's not. That sucks. That's shitty money. It's shitty money and a shitty mindset. And if you hang out with people that think like that and consume like that, that's who you be. So I took action, and I have done just like in being soul detox. I did a business detox. I got rid of people of that mindset. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to associate with them. I want to associate with people that are driven, that are focused, that have clarity, that are building kingdoms in businesses and in the legal profession. In fact, most lawyers are not even entrepreneurs. They're damn stupid in business. They're absolutely stupid. The few law firms across the world that are worth hundreds of millions or billions are not just lawyers. They're entrepreneurs. They took bold actions, not in the law, but they took bold actions in their mindset on what they were going to do and where they were going to go and how they were going to do it and who they were going to associate with and what information they were going to consume. And I can tell you, from what I hear and what I read and when I watch them, they were not consuming a poverty mindset in business. See, and I did because I was asleep, because I allowed the legal matrix to dictate to me how much I can make in my community of lawyers, which was a standard of the state bar or some judicial district or some bullshit like that. Until one day I'm like, hell to the hell, 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 no. So I increased my fees. I took less clients. I operate a concierge service. If you can't pay me, then I get out of the sandbox. I take my bucket. I take my little shovel, and I'm not going to play with you anymore. Because running a law firm, operating it, leading it, requires you demand the cash to close, to run it, to operate it, and to rise. And if you don't do that, you are going to live in poverty. You have to have a different mindset. Now, you do want to be grateful when clients hire you. You do want to say thank you, but you have to lead. You have to lead. You have to have a different mindset. You can't feel sorry for everybody. You can't have all this empathy and not get paid. It doesn't work that way, because if you don't get paid in business, you don't have a staff, you don't have an office, you don't have Xerox machines, you don't have computers, you don't have software, you don't have papers, you don't have pencils, you don't have pens, you don't have a damn thing to comprise your law firm to help anybody. Nobody. No client wants a lawyer that's living in poverty in the four domains. They don't. They come in and they don't care what's on your wall with your diplomas and all the other shits and frames in the I love me wall. They're like, dude, I have this legal problem. My life's in a shit mess. Can you get me out of it? How much is it going to cost? And how long is it going to take? And they have to know that you know what the hell you're doing. And you have to parlay that competence and that confidence to the client if you want to rise in business. And it's not just enough to be an overzealous or aggressive attorney. Shit, anybody can do that. They can be a loudmouth in the courtroom. Big deal. Most judges hate loudmouth attorneys. So do juries. It turns them off. Your power of persuasion is what is called strategic seduction. You have to communicate your message to your client that you will lead them, that you will provide the exodus out of their pain. And when you do that, you're showing your value, and they will then pay for your value. But if you hang around lawyers with a mindset of, I'm just satisfied with where I am, I've got this car, I've got this beach house, I got a great deal on it, I'm satisfied with living out in the county with low taxes, I got goats and chickens and bullshit like that. No. That is not the mindset you're going to have as a legal warrior. You can't do that. I can't do that. And I'm trying to lead you and train you now as law students, as young lawyers, to not fall into this trap in the legal matrix. Nobody was around to tell me that when I was starting out in law. Why? Because everybody was caught up in the legal matrix and this, I have to do it this way. I have to charge this. I can't charge more than this. I can't have this mindset. Oh, seeking cash is up. That's evil. And no, it's not. What's evil is if it's just your main idol and you're greedy and you're lying and you're cheating and you're stealing. That's the sin. Building a kingdom, a legal kingdom, a law firm that goes out there and fights against judicial tyranny and defends your client is not a sin. There's nothing wrong with getting paid to do it. If you don't get paid, you can't build an army. And if you can't build an army, you can't fight the legal matrix. Being smart and strategic is not enough. You have to have the assets, the weapons, the tools in the toolbox to go out and take on the legal matrix and go in there and go fight and go forward and don't look back. You have to burn that ship in the harbor. And you want to know why? Because when you're faced with, live or die, let me tell you what you can do. You're going to fight a lot harder. And when you do that, that takes you out of the poverty mindset in all the four domains. Because when you're forced to fight, and you have the assets and the monies to build the army, you can fight the legal matrix. But if you live in a poverty mindset in business, you will be out of business. There won't be a law firm for you to come into every morning. There won't be a staff. Because let me tell you, the first minute you can't pay your staff, brothers and sisters, their asses are out the door. They're already looking for a job. And if you show weakness in business and they realize, oh my God, we're going under, let me tell you what they're doing during the day while you're at court, struggling to make some other cash. Yeah, they're building their resumes, they're making phone calls, and they're applying on every domain they can to get a new job and get the hell away from you because they realize you're the captain of the Titanic too, and you're going down. Why? Because you're living in poverty in all the four domains of body, being, balance, and business. It's a war. It's a dogfight. I know because I've been in it. I'm in it. It's a dogfight. I have the scars to prove it. I have over 30 years experience in this. I'm awake now. I want you to be awake. I want you to realize that you don't have to live in this poverty mindset. You don't. I tell my own son this. He's young. He's a young Army officer, brand new. And he has to go out and lead soldiers. He can't operate from a poverty mindset as an officer and leader. I couldn't do that when I was a brand new lieutenant. If you operate in scarcity and poverty in every domain of your life, you will fail. It is a hell you do not want. You got to wake up. You got to suit up. You got to armor up. You got to get weaponized. And it starts in those 4 domains. Just like me, every morning, get up 3, 4, hit the gym, do the regimen exercise, eat the right foods, have the right mindset, listen to the right videos, the right audios of people that are successful and have made it, and they can demonstrate it by the metrics of what they've accomplished because it's right there on their balance sheets. What does your balance sheet look like right now today? Embody being balanced in business. Are you living in poverty? Are you living in scarcity? Or are you rising and are you fighting the legal matrix? We're not going to solve this in just one conversation here. You're in a dogfight. You're in a war. You're going to be in battles every day. You're going to collide. Those collisions are going to force you to do one of 2 things. Hide and die. Or rise and fight and win. You have to make a choice. Make the right choice. Have that conversation with me. Hire me. Over 30 years experience in the war. And I'm still here. I am still here. Those that gave up and accepted the poverty mindset died long ago. They're in their offices, but they're dead. They're dead. They're dead in body. They're dead in being. They're dead in balance. And they're dead in business. Make a choice and choose wisely. All right. We're wrapping up here. This is Bryce Nair, closing out. Love and light, love and light. You know what you have to do. Get a hold of me. Talk to me. Hire me. Let's build your kingdom. Let's go fight this war together. Bryce out.